Hey guys, this is Chris here with Work to Game, and today we're going to be beating Sohm Al Hard. Just as we go over this first boss, Lighten Ward, a giant Bulbasaur in a cave that's seen better days, the first ability you're going to see is Inflammable Fumes. This tosses out a bit of party-wide damage just to be healed through. Next we'll see Spore Sack, which happens to spawn some spores all over that are going to explode in a bit, so just make sure you're standing away from those. You'll notice an ability Excrete go out from time to time. This will make a party member heavy, which will make it very hard for them to avoid these Spore Sacks, which our healer was actually taking off for us. Now the rest of this is simply rinse and repeat. Keep avoiding the spores, keep healing the raid-wide damage, and your tank just keeps on standing there taking hits. Not too big of a deal. You wouldn't expect the first boss in a brand new dungeon to be that hard. There will be better bosses throughout this dungeon. The trash is pretty straightforward, but I'll make a note of a few things as we go. Now I'd also like to say the gear in here drops at 245. Everybody in this group was in the 230s, so this is actually a pretty good show of what it's going to be like. This is the appropriate timing. We actually had to fight all the mechanics. We had some friends going through these dungeons at the same time, and they actually had a much easier time since they were at the higher eye level. We don't always play on these classes. We got a little goofy talking in chat with the friends that were in the other group, and we did go ahead and wipe on this trash, so be sure you pay attention. Now, having already wiped once now, we did go ahead and pay attention going into our second boss, Gauro, a Godzilla-type creature that has some serious indigestion here, so make sure you watch out for that. Most of his abilities don't seem to have too much of a big warning beyond the visual cues, so pay attention to how he's actually standing. I have been told that tanks, once they get used to this, can avoid a lot of this damage that goes out, but our healer was able to heal through it as our tank learned this fight. You'll watch his arm come up, that's his big tank buster move as he swings down. And you'll see a charge ability that'll cause nice party-wide damage, once again just a nice little healer check. The big moves to watch for are when he actually turns and faces the party. There's one where he kind of charges up, this is going to be a lunge forward, just make sure you're out of the way of that. Another is a kind of spin move that seems to knock anybody back and do a fair bit of damage, so your melee DPS may need to watch out for that one. And his last move will actually be when he totally spins and faces a party member. His spikes glow white. This is going to be a nice big belch of lava, so watch out. That stream can hit multiple players, and if you're not paying attention, it will kill you. Once you know all those abilities, this is just rinse and repeat. Keep avoiding the swipes, keep avoiding the lunges, stay out of the way of the lava, and he will go down. We of course forgot our nice trash wipe earlier and got a little bit lazy, so we had to finish this fight without Brian, who accidentally stood in the lava just a little too long. But thankfully we'd paid enough attention early on in the fight that we were able to get the clear down a healer. Once again, this is I-245 drops. Our tank kept getting all the drops, so by the end of this dungeon he was well into the 240s. But I will admit, if you're already in the 270s, this probably isn't too exciting to you. On a side note here, this is actually coming up to another nice little note for trash. While the worms were earlier just straightforward AoE, these molten guys here actually have an ability called Blaze, which puts out a significant amount of damage. So if you do find yourself in an undergeared group, go ahead and target those first if you don't mind. Just a nice little touch, shouldn't wipe you by any means. And we have made it to our last boss. Has a really creative name, Lava Scorpion. Pretty straightforward there on what you're going to be fighting. Few things to go over. This one has quite a bit more mechanics than the other one. The first ability you see here is Molten Silk. It's a pie-shaped AoE. Your melee DPS should just be able to avoid that. Now the level's going to get a little bit smaller here. There's going to be a Flying Press ability that actually triggers this moment. Doesn't happen over and over. There will actually be another mechanic that's going to cause us to deal with less and less space. You may have already noticed the mortar attacks. Pretty straightforward. Don't stand in bad. Now, where he's standing, he's already dropped a lava pool. This is actually the mechanic to watch in this fight. These will keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and never go away. And he's going to drop them wherever he is. So, keep an eye out. Your tank buster move is called Deadly Thrust, so if your healer wants to keep it a good watch on that, that's where you're going to see a nice big chunk of damage come out of your tank's health. And so far you're just watching us watch our positioning and keep these lava pools along the edge until he casts Hiss. Hiss is actually going to be when his ads come out. You'll need to burn those down, but the tank would do best to go ahead and grab them up for you and try to keep everything on that side of the level as long as possible. We did have a point here where our other DPS went down. I used my Black Mage limit break on the boss, caught that, and it absolutely wiped those out. So they really aren't very big. Just burn them down and get back to focusing on the boss. Now you can also get a nice little red diamond over you. This means run to the edge of the level away from your friends because he's going to jump to you. This is where another lava pool will be, so it's a chance for your ranged people to contribute to the problem of having less and less space to work with. But I think that that's something we've all seen before, so you should adjust to pretty quickly. You may have seen Borehole early on in the fight. That's a knockback move. Didn't do much then, but as you see us get this far into the fight where we're actually dealing with a very small sliver of the level, you really are going to want to watch out for that, because that can absolutely wreck a melee DPS that gets tossed too far into all of that bad that's on the left side of the level here. Now our tank lost control of the ads at one point here as I was AoEing them down. Black mages are very, very squishy, so they did have to finish the fight without me, but this was our clear. So with that, I hope you guys are able to wreck Sohm Al Hard now, and I hope you enjoy all the new content as we gear up for Stormblood with our last major patch here. Please press like on this video if you like what we do here at Work to Game. Subscribe if you haven't joined our fantastic community, and leave a comment down below if you learn anything else. We'd love to learn any new strategies. Maybe the tank can do a little better positioning or something to make this a little bit easier. We didn't have any trouble clearing it the first time through, and thank you for watching.